It's been called the perfect sequel, a film so brilliantly crafted that it took everything great about its predecessor and transformed it into something completely different yet equally masterful: Aliens. This tale of space marines, corporate conspiracies, and maternal fury didn't just continue Ripley's story. It redefined what science fiction action could achieve when combined with genuine emotion and practical filmmaking mastery. But what if I told you that beneath its pulse-pounding surface lies a world of production battles, hidden meanings, and cast revelations that even the most dedicated fans have never discovered? Uncover the truth behind James Cameron's masterpiece that proved sequels could not only match their originals, but surpass them in ways nobody thought possible. The sequel nobody wanted to make. 7 years after Aliens' release, Hollywood executives were deeply skeptical about creating a sequel to Ridley Scott's intimate horror masterpiece. The original film had been a modest commercial success, but was primarily viewed as an art house horror film rather than franchise material. Studio heads couldn't understand how to follow a movie where the monster was killed and the sole survivor had been rescued. James Cameron faced enormous resistance when he pitched his vision. Fresh off the Terminator's success, he was still considered an unproven director for a major studio production. His concept of transforming the horror franchise into a Vietnam War allegory set in space seemed risky and potentially alienating to fans of the original's claustrophobic terror. The breakthrough came when Cameron presented his treatment with a simple but brilliant hook. If Alien was a haunted house movie, Aliens would be a war film. He convinced executives by explaining that instead of one alien, there would be hundreds. Instead of one terrified victim, there would be trained soldiers. This shift from horror to action opened up merchandising opportunities and broader audience appeal that studios could understand and support. Ripley's return and Sigourney's Fight Sigourney Weaver initially had no interest in reprising Ellen Ripley, feeling that the character's story had been perfectly concluded. She feared that a sequel would diminish the original's impact and turn Ripley into a typical action hero rather than the complex survivor she had created. Weaver's agent had to convince her even to read Cameron's script. The actress's demands were unprecedented for the time. She insisted on script approval, character development that respected Ripley's intelligence, and a salary of $1 million, making her the highest-paid actress in Hollywood history at that point. More importantly, she required that Ripley's motivations be emotional rather than purely heroic. Cameron's script won Weaver over by deepening Ripley's character through the revelation that she had lost a daughter during her 57-year hypersleep. This backstory, largely cut from the theatrical release, provided the emotional foundation for Ripley's fierce protection of Newt. Weaver understood that this wasn't just about fighting aliens. It was about a woman reclaiming her maternal identity after profound loss. The actress trained extensively for the action sequences, particularly the power loader fight, insisting on performing as many stunts as safely possible to maintain authenticity in her physical transformation from survivor to warrior. The Marines that felt like real soldiers. Cameron's casting strategy for the Colonial Marines was revolutionary. He deliberately chose actors who embodied real military archetypes rather than typical Hollywood action stars. Bill Paxton brought manic energy and authentic cowardice that made Hudson's panic attacks feel genuine rather than comedic. Michael Biehn's Corporal Hicks represented the competent professional soldier who earns respect through action rather than bravado. The 2-week military training camp that Cameron organized wasn't just physical preparation, it was designed to create genuine bonds between the actors. They learned actual military tactics, weapons handling, and squad communication protocols. This training created authentic chemistry that translates directly to screen, making their interactions feel like real soldiers rather than actors playing roles. Each Marine was developed with specific personality traits drawn from actual military personnel Cameron had researched. Jeanette Goldstein's Vasquez combined genuine toughness with vulnerability, while Al Matthews brought his real Vietnam War experience to the role of Sergeant Apone. Lance Henriksen's Bishop was designed as the antithesis of Ash from the original film, helpful rather than sinister. The cast has revealed that they continued to use military protocols and rank structure even between takes, maintaining the disciplined atmosphere that made their squad dynamics so believable throughout the demanding production. Schedule. The British crew rebellion. The culture clash between James Cameron's American filmmaking style and the traditional British film industry created one of Hollywood's most famous production conflicts. The crew at Pinewood Studios initially viewed Cameron as just another inexperienced American director who didn't understand proper filmmaking protocols and union traditions. British film crews operated on strict schedules with mandatory tea breaks and shorter working days, while Cameron demanded the extended hours and intense focus he had used on the Terminator. The crew's passive resistance included deliberately slow setup times, extended breaks, and subtle sabotage of equipment. Some crew members openly questioned Cameron's technical knowledge and directorial authority. The breaking point came when Cameron fired several department heads and threatened to shut down production unless he received full cooperation. His detailed technical knowledge and hands-on approach to every aspect of filmmaking gradually earned respect from the crew, who realized he wasn't just making demands, but actively solving complex practical problems. The Queen that changed everything. The Alien Queen represents one of practical effects. History's greatest achievements, requiring a 14-foot-tall puppet operated by a team of 6 puppeteers working in perfect synchronization. Stan Winston's Creature Shop spent months designing and building the massive practical effect that would serve as the film's climactic antagonist. The Queen's design required balancing H.R. Giger's original aesthetic with the practical demands of puppeteering and combat choreography. Winston added the distinctive crown structure and elongated head that gave the creature regal bearing while maintaining the biomechanical nightmare quality of Giger's original vision. The creature's 4 arms allowed for more complex and threatening movements than previous Alien designs. Operating the Queen required unprecedented coordination between multiple puppeteers, each controlling different body sections through cables, rods, and radio-controlled mechanisms. The puppeteers had to rehearse their movements like dancers to create fluid, believable motion for a creature that had no real-world reference point. The Power Loader fight. Nobody believed. The climactic battle between Ripley and the Power Loader and the Alien Queen required building a fully functional 8-foot-tall robotic suit that Sigourney Weaver could actually operate. The engineering challenges seemed impossible, creating a mechanical exoskeleton that looked believable while remaining safe for an actress to wear during intense action sequences. The Power Loader was constructed using a combination of hydraulics, counterweights, and clever mechanical engineering that allowed Weaver to control the suit's movements through her own body motions. She spent weeks training to operate the complex machinery, learning to coordinate the mechanical arms and legs with her natural movements. The Sound of War in Space. The audio design of Aliens created a new sonic language for science fiction warfare that influenced countless subsequent films. The distinctive pulse rifle sound was created by combining multiple audio elements, including the actual sound of a firing pin hitting an empty chamber, to create something that felt both futuristic and familiar to audiences. The alien hive's acoustic environment was carefully designed to feel both organic and threatening. The sound team recorded actual insect colonies and modified the audio to create the chittering, scratching sounds that make the alien nest feel alive and constantly moving. These background sounds create subliminal tension that keeps audiences on edge even during quiet moments. Cameron's use of silence as a dramatic tool was equally important. The moments of complete quiet before alien attacks create contrast that makes the sudden violence more shocking. The film alternates between chaotic battle sequences and eerily silent stalking scenes, using audio dynamics to control audience tension throughout the narrative. Newt and the heart of the story. Carrie Henn's casting as Newt was crucial to the film's emotional success, requiring a child actress who could convey trauma and resilience without falling into typical Hollywood child performer cliches. Henn was a non-professional actress whose natural responses to the elaborate sets and creature effects created genuine wonder and fear that translated perfectly to screen. The surrogate mother-daughter relationship between Ripley and Newt provides the emotional core that elevates Aliens above typical action sequels. Cameron understood that the audience needed to care about someone being protected, not just marvel at spectacular action sequences. Newt's vulnerability and intelligence make her worth saving, while her survival skills prove she's not just a helpless victim. Protecting Henn during filming required careful planning and psychological preparation. The young actress was shielded from the most frightening creature effects until absolutely necessary, and child welfare officers monitored her working conditions constantly. Cameron ensured that Henn understood she was participating in movie magic rather than real danger. The revelation that Ripley lost her own daughter during hypersleep adds profound depth to her protective instincts toward Newt. This relationship allows audiences to connect with Ripley on a deeply human level, making her transformation into a fierce warrior feel emotionally authentic rather than merely heroic. The Vietnam allegory. Hidden in space. Cameron deliberately structured Aliens as a commentary on American military intervention, particularly the Vietnam War, using science fiction to explore controversial political themes without direct confrontation. The colonial Marines represent well-equipped, confident military forces facing an enemy they don't understand in an environment they can't control. The corporate interests driving the mission mirror the political and economic motivations behind military interventions. Burke's willingness to sacrifice lives for potential profit reflects Cameron's criticism of how business interests often override human considerations in military decisions. The company's cover-up and deception parallel real-world controversies about government honesty regarding military operations. The aliens' guerrilla warfare tactics and intimate knowledge of their environment give them advantages that superior technology cannot overcome. The Marines' confidence in their firepower and training proves inadequate against an enemy that uses the terrain itself as a weapon. This dynamic directly parallels the challenges American forces faced in Vietnam. The director's cut that revealed everything. The 17 minutes of footage restored in Aliens' director's cut fundamentally changes the film's thematic emphasis and emotional impact. The most significant addition reveals that Ripley had a daughter who aged and died during her 57-year hypersleep, providing crucial context for her protective relationship with Newt. The sentry gun sequence demonstrates the aliens' intelligence and adaptability, while showing the Marines' tactical thinking under pressure. These automated defenses thin the alien horde while building tension for the inevitable direct confrontation. The sequence also showcases practical effects, work that rivals the film's more famous action scenes. Additional character development scenes flesh out the relationships between Marines and provide more context for their individual personalities. The effects that still hold up. Aliens achieved its visual impact through masterful integration of practical effects, miniature work, and innovative camera techniques that create seamless illusions still impressive decades later. The film's effects work demonstrates how careful planning and execution can create believable, fantastic imagery without relying on digital technology. The miniature environments for the planet's surface and processing station were built at extraordinary scale and detail, allowing for dynamic camera movements that feel epic rather than confined. These practical sets could be lit and photographed from multiple angles, giving cinematographers flexibility impossible with matte paintings or early digital environments. The legacy that defined action. Sci-fi aliens established the template for military science fiction that influenced decades of films, television shows, and video games. The Colonial Marines' equipment, tactics, and dialogue became the standard for depicting futuristic soldiers. Games like Halo, Gears of War, and countless others drew directly from Cameron's vision of space warfare. The film proved that sequels could successfully transform their source material while maintaining respect for the original. Instead of simply repeating Alien's formula, Cameron created something new that honored the predecessor while standing independently. This approach influenced how successful franchises approach sequel development. Most importantly, Aliens demonstrated that spectacular action sequences and genuine emotional storytelling could coexist successfully. The film's technical achievements serve the story rather than replacing it, creating entertainment that satisfies both visceral excitement and emotional engagement. This balance between spectacle and substance became the gold standard for science fiction action films. The next time you watch Aliens, pay attention to how the sound design creates tension through silence and chaos. Notice how each Marine's personality reflects real military archetypes, and observe how Ripley's relationship with Newt provides the emotional foundation that makes all the spectacular action matter.